All right, everyone. My name is Alonso Vasquez, and I am going to be going over my digital project here with you today. So, my digital project topic was the Grateful Dead, um, the live music, the fan culture, everything about them. Right, right here's the homepage. Got the project overview going on right here. Right, which talks about the basics of this project. But where I really want to get into some stuff over here, right, is when we get to the nitty gritty. First, for here, we go to the timeline. Right here, you see the timeline. We got the boys back here. Can't really see the picture too well, but right. So you got Jerry Garcia right here. You got Bill, one of the drummers. You got Mickey, Bob Weir behind him. Phil Lesh, bassist, and Big Pan. And here's just some key moments in Grateful Dead's history we're going to go over right here. So, 1965, the band forms in San Francisco Bay Area. Their first show, they initially performed as the Warlocks. Um, Initially performed their first concert at Magoo's Pizza Parlor around May, I think May of this year, May of 1965. And yeah, so they shortly changed their name thereafter because they found out the Warlocks was taken to the Grateful Dead. 1966, the band starts getting more into the psychedelic scene, right? Avalon Ballroom was an iconic venue for those times, especially for the acid test. So this band started to play around the acid test around people who were highly dosed on copious amounts of LSD. And that's kind of where they started gaining some of a following, right? And then during 1967, Summer of Love era, you got more wandering teens from across America coming to San Francisco, and of course, stumbling on the Grateful Dead, a good chunk of them being like, hey, you know what, I want to see what this band's doing next. It was always a good time, always a party at those shows. 1970, right? Flash forward, albums like Working Man's Dead and American Beauty show the band's connection to folk, country blues, and American roots. This is important because it kind of shows the band was able to adapt, and switch their style. These albums will go on to be, most fans argue they're two best studio albums to date. Flash forward to 1977, 7 years later, we got the iconic Cornell University Barton Hall concert, which fans argue, Deadheads will argue that that is quite literally the best live show you can get right there. I personally agree as well that Scarlet Begonias is a really good version of that. And this is the album this is the live show that really got me into the Grateful Dead myself and made myself a Deadhead. Um, in 1994, the Grateful Dead are inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right? And then in 1995, unfortunately, Jerry Garcia's untimely death. He had a stroke, I believe, heart attack in rehab. He had an ongoing battle with drugs. 2008 and after, right? So the band's archives donated to UC Santa Cruz, helping preserve a bunch of posters, fan memorabilia, recordings, etc. Realistically, you could go on. This is still ongoing to this day, but I wanted to keep it strictly for the Grateful Dead. You have Dead and Company further, and then you have like a bunch like Graham Lesh, Phil Lesh's son. There's so much more. The music, quite literally, the music never stops. One of their sayings they say in their songs, the music never stops, and I believe that'd be very true with this band. But you know, Grateful Dead originally ended in '95 when Jerry Garcia died, but the music never stopped. Right here is the Avalon Ballroom poster for 1966 we talked about earlier, right? This image right here, the skull and roses, will go on to become a famous piece of imagery associated with the Grateful Dead and be nicknamed Bertha for some reason. All right, now we're going to go on to live performances right here, right? So you got the live performances tab, and you see right here the Boys Jam. This is Believe the Warfield, 1981. I think they were recording one of their live albums when it's on Jet Set. Really good one. So right here, Grateful Dead were different from many rock bands because their concert not just performances the same songs in the same order. Their shows were built around improvisation, long jams, and changing set lists. This is very true. This is kind of like also the appeal of seeing this band over and over and just following them around because you never knew what you're gonna get. You could be chasing a song for show after show after show after show. And you could think to yourself, man, I don't know if I'm gonna go to the next show tomorrow, but I feel like if I do, they're gonna play this song I really been chasing. So that was one of the appeals of the band. No two shows are ever the same. The Library of Congress describes the Grateful Dead as a band known for electric style, improvising, touring, and live performances. All right, one strong sample of this is again the Barton Hall concert, Cornell University, May 1977. I've here included a link, and then the Library of Congress National Recordings Preservation, which 2011 was the year that show went into the vault. Next tab here we have deadheads and tapers, right? So this image back here shows a bunch of deadheads. I believe this is around the 80s, late 80s, probably early 90s. And this is usually called the taper section right here. I see all the deadhead fans right here, and these tall little poles right here are how they recorded the music at that time, right? And so right here, the Grateful Dead's fan community, known as Deadheads, became a major part of the band's history. Fans would not only listen to the music, many followed the band from city to city, traded concert recordings, created art, shared stories, and helped build a culture around the live shows. Taping was especially important. The band became known for allowing and encouraging fans to record shows, and the trading of these tapes helped spread the music outside normal radio and record company systems. This gave fans a more active role than the usual audience. They became archivists, collectors, promoters, and historians of the music. I really, really, that really last sentence I really want to emphasize, like just how I guess you could say influential or crucial tapers were to Grateful Dead. I mean, honestly, I don't think the band would be nearly as big as it was if it weren't for tapers. They quite literally were the reason, like, these shows spread. You have a taper who, for example, records the show, and then they go ahead and they make a bunch of tapes of it. Then they hand them out during the concert. Right now, a bunch of people have tapes of these recordings, and then they go home to listen to this stuff, and they hang out with their friends. Their friends are like, "What are you listening to? This is the Grateful Dead concert I went to." Oh, really? Can I borrow that tape? And then boom, then the tape spreads like wildfire. So I mean, the job of the taper really could not be overstated how important it was. There's a saying that goes, "Think a taper today." All right. So then we're gonna go. And fan art also deeply shows how deeply the audience participated. Decorated envelopes, posters, ticket stubs, shirts, and family objects that the Deadheads helped create the band's public identity. Grateful Dead archive online is important because it preserves not just official band materials, but also community submitted fan materials, right? So you also have like this thing called Shakedown the Lot. The parking lots usually before the shows were full. It's like a swap meet, bizarre type of just with deadheads trying to barter their way into the show or sell you items, homemade shirts, homemade tie dyes, or illicit illegal substances of that nature, or grilled cheeses. It's a running joke. You go get a grilled cheese with the Grateful Dead at that lot. And then next, right here, we have the legacy. This picture kind of got a little cropped here, but right here are three, or I guess only two of them are alive now, the two drummers. The middle man right here, good old Bob Weir, just passed away, unfortunately, in January. Very hard time for the Grateful Dead community, right? The legacy and historical importance, right? So the Grateful Dead's legacy continued because they created more than a normal band audience relationship. The show became gathering places, their recordings became shared objects, and their fans helped preserve the story. This is why the band's history is now saved in places such as UC Santa Cruz, Grateful Dead's Archive Online, and the Library of Congress. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame recognized the band in 1994, and the Library of Congress later recognized the Barton Hall concert as part of the National Recording Registry. These honors show that the Dead's influence reached beyond their original families, became part of a larger American music history. Overall, the Grateful Dead helped prove that rock music can be built around community, improvisation, and shared memory. Their model influenced later jam bands, live music culture, fan recordings practices, and the idea of a concert could be the idea that a concert could be a unique historical event. I'm so sorry about that. Right here's a link, Grateful Dead, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right here, right? You got some of the members and Jerry right there in the middle. And then a link to the Grateful Dead archive online if you wanted to check that out for yourself right there. And then just right here, bibliography, just some of the sources I was using throughout this project right here. So that pretty much covers, right, the demonstration. This is my somewhat complete digital project. I probably will go back in and touch up some more things, but I just want to show this with you guys right here. Yeah, and so my topic was I simply just want to do about the Grateful Dead. You know, the Grateful Dead is just one of the most iconic American bands of all time. You know, and just the the nature in which these fans, you know, us Deadheads are devoted is something you have to see to believe in person. I truly believe that. And I used to be someone that was not a fan of the Grateful Dead, and you go see your first show, you know, any iteration, and you just involve this community, and you're like, wow, okay, I really understand why people like this. And to think this music has been going on for 60 years now, you know, it's just crazy to think, and the fan base is so strong. That's why I wanted to highlight some of the stuff here. Like, here's some of these key moments within the band's history right here, right? Live, it goes over our live performances, the Deadheads, right? It goes over quite a bit, and I just wanted to like highlight some of these key strong points. Of course, you could go on and on about these people. I mean, there's so much to it. You know, this is barely scratching the surface, but I just wanted to like a brief taste, if you will, of the Dead. Um, So my presentation, right? So I use Google Sites. The tool I used was just Google Sites, and I kind of ham jammed it, involved some links, and then looked for some random images. Um, and that was pretty much it. I just wanted to like make it super simple, user friendly, so that anyone that was curious about the Grateful Dead could get just a quick little taste of it, and from there, hopefully, they'll click on one of these links here, listen to this live recording. Hey, you know what? This sounds pretty good. And they seem like an interesting band. Let me do further research onto into it. I don't want to data overload uh, people, but yeah, that's pretty much that is my digital project right there. I hope you guys enjoyed. Um, Please take a listen to the Grateful Dead whenever you get a chance. They're quite literally one of the most iconic American bands of all time, and you will not regret it at all. Thank you so much. Have a great day.